Hey everybody, happy Halloween. Well, this is probably gonna listen to this in November, but whatever. It is Bad Blood in your house. I'm here with Kyle. Pratik's jumping on later. Kyle, how you feeling?
What's going on? I'm doing all right. It's Halloween today or the day after Halloween, whenever it comes out. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a wrestling. I've done a couple wrestling costumes for Halloween. I was Ultimate Warrior when I was like a kid, and I was like Chris Jericho when he had the list. And I just make bad choices, so I'm not gonna be a wrestler for Halloween anymore.
I'm trying to think of what wrestler. I've never dressed as a wrestler for Halloween, and I'm trying to think of what wrestler I would be. I think I would. Well, actually, I could be this guy. I would be Hillbilly Jim. I can't be the Godwins because they have the Confederate flag on their stuff.
All
But
over.
Hillbilly Jim, I could be him. I have the overalls, and you would just need that silly hat. So.
Go for it. Hey, it's see tonight. Just put on that. Find a hat at your store. Be Hillbilly
Mhm.
Jim. It's warm in LA.
Hillbilly Jim would be a fun costume. He's a good guy.
Mhm.
He's still alive. I can't believe it. Anyway,
Yeah, good for him. We say this, and then it comes out. We're like, no.
he's gonna be dead soon. So here's the weird thing about this event, man. So this event is this is like one of the only in your houses that WWE still celebrates. They like I don't know if you remember when they brought it back a year ago, Bad Blood. They had Triple H make a video like a historic night, one of the big turning points in WWE, and it is a historic night. But the weirdest thing to me about this is that this night is celebrated and it's seen as a victory for WWE and a turning point. And the day starts with them finding Brian Pillman dead in the hotel room. And the tone
Hmm.
of everything from the show to the way people talk about this day to like the way they celebrate it in video packages, it is just, and let me see, it is just odd to me how this death is treated throughout this entire show and for the last 30 years. Your thoughts on the Brian Pillman dying in the morning of the show?
I remember when I found out, I was doing homework. I don't know if you had like did homework on your kitchen table growing up. Like I would try and do it in my room usually, and if it was too much, my parents would put me on the table in the kitchen, which is like the worst place to do homework. It's just like it's almost like the punishment spot. But my brother and I were trying to finish our homework to watch Bad Blood, and then my mom comes into the room and she says she always gets names wrong. She says like Ed McMahon just said somebody died. What's his name? Pillman. And we're like, what? So we rush into the room to watch the TV, and they announced that Brian Pillman died. And we're like, is this a story? Because Brian Pillman was doing all that work shoot stuff. And I just remember being very shocked as a kid because I really liked Brian Pillman. I liked the Hollywood Blondes. I like Flying Brian, ECW, Shitless Pillman, all of that. And then watching it now, the whole thing just seems like every time they bring it up, it seems like Vince McMahon just trying to dig himself out of a hole. Every time he brings it up, he's just like, "Well, the cops say there's no foul play." The cops like it's just like he keeps just doing this stuff to make it seem like he's not gonna get in trouble, and you can tell it's on his mind, like, "Oh shit, they're gonna come after me for this," more so than being upset.
Yeah, and the whole show just feels like we just need to forget that this guy ever existed. Um, they don't celebrate this guy a lot. They don't. No one talks about this day. Like people talk about the day Eddie Guerrero died. Like you can still Chavo. Hear the trauma in Chavo's voice and Ray's voice and Jericho's voice. And they talk about the day Eddie Guerrero died. You could even hear like people being fucked up over Benoit and the Benoit thing. And obviously Owen Hart, he died in the arena. But I never heard a story where someone was like, it was so hard to wrestle that night because Brian Pillman. Everyone was like, what a great debut for Kane. And how about that Hell in a Cell? And it's like, bro, your fucking coworker was found dead in the morning, and you're
I
just
think
like, that Kane debut.
you can visibly see it on. I don't like saying this because there's a clickbait meme that goes around after Over the Edge where like you can see the Undertaker trying not to cry and not wanting to perform at Over the Edge, and they show Undertaker, Stone Cold, and Pat Patterson, and all those accounts like use it to just get their fucking blue check money. But you can see it in Owen Hart's face. Owen Hart is at like not the Owen Hart that we see, and we can talk about it later. He just has it on his face because his fucking stablemate and friend just died, and now he has to wrestle Farouk for this, this match. So like, you see it on his face. They take out like Dude Love and Goldust and things like that. So it's just like who would probably be more emotional. It's weird. It is weird how they talk about it and how they treat it. It's just the Kane Hell in the Cell show, which it really is a one match show.
The thing about Austin is that, and this got established early on from one of the dirt sheets, is he's not good with death. He doesn't like to address it. He doesn't like to. He just kind of moves on no matter what the death is. He just, you know, okay, what do we have to do next? So the unemotion in him doesn't surprise me because I think that's the way he treats all death, And he
Yeah.
said it, and he didn't go to Eddie Guerrero's funeral, but what he did, and Dave Mills reported this because he doesn't go to funerals. But for Eddie Guerrero's funeral, he sat across the street and had a beer in his car and then went home. And that's like the most you're gonna get out of him.
Wait, he sat across Guerrero Street and had a beer in his car?
Sat across the street from where the funeral was happening.
That okay.
That's
Cool.
like the most you're gonna get. That's like him flying on top of a casket. That's the most
Yeah.
emotion you're gonna get out of this guy is him driving, sitting across the street from your funeral, having a beer, and then going home. That's the most you're.
Man, Eddie Guerrero was a recovering alcoholic.
What?
Eddie Guerrero was a recovering alcoholic.
Well,
Like,
Austin is a celebrating alcoholic, so
I guess like everyone grieves in their
that's,
own ways. All right.
that's the most you're gonna. But he did do a lot of interviews for the Brian Pillman DVD, which is a good DVD.
Yes. Oh
That,
man, that DVD actually, I watched that at a bad time.
yeah,
It's my
that's a
back.
good.
Well, little Kyle Lure. I mean, the day I watched that DVD is the same day I found out my mom passed. It was October 9th. And it was also like Eddie Guerrero's birthday. It was like a weird death surrounding day when that
Mhm.
happened. And I felt, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know if we're talking about this a little bit. I don't know if you felt off the day any of your family members passed, but I had such an off day, like an unusually off day, like something was in the air, like nothing was right. So then watching
Mhm.
this DVD of this deceased wrestler on another deceased wrestler's birthday, then to find out that my mom passed, like right when Raw was about to start, like I find out, it was just so much death in the air. So every time I think of that DVD, it's kind of like a black cloud. But it was a good DVD.
Oh yeah, well it's so funny because like my mom started getting a little sick around when Warrior died, and then she died right after WrestleMania 31. So I kind of associate Warrior dying with like the final year that I had with my mom. So
Mm.
I see WrestleMania 30 as a very sad event because of how Warrior died. And then Daniel Bryan like gets injured right away,
Yeah.
and then Daniel Bryan's speech about Connor. I don't know if you remember, but so I watched the whole
Oh, it was
thing.
heart wrenching. Yeah.
Yeah, he gave a speech about Connor, and my mom's dying in the bed next to me. So I those two WrestleManias are like kind of like very like sad events. What makes it even sadder is Triple H squashing Sting. So that's a whole other thing. But
Thank you
there's
for
like
turning
there's
it back around.
yeah, like some people like to celebrate 30. I just see 30 as like a very sad it's a very sad WrestleMania. Like I know Daniel Bryan had that victory, but in his head he's thinking like Connor's more important than this fake belt and this fake storyline. And Connor dies right after that. Warrior dies after trying to make peace. And again, I really do firmly I will put money. Pratik, you there, brother?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you're there. I will firmly put money that Ultimate Warrior right now would be totally on the maggot train. Totally fucking. He probably would have joined ICE. I mean, the guy would have been a problem in this era. But when right before he died, I do think he was trying to become a better person. I don't think it would have stuck. So it is sad though that he doesn't get the chance to prove me wrong. When I was talking about how like some wrestling, we're talking about Brian Pillman dying in sad wrestling moments, and I was saying that WrestleMania 30 for me is a very sad event. It's not an event that I'm like, woohoo! I just find it to be very sad, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he checked. I don't think it was his choice, but he checked out at the right time because he definitely would have been. He got canceled after he died. Like they brought out all his old websites again and all of his old blogs, and rightfully things he should have to speak up about because he said some really fucked up things. Warrior. I remember it was really telling about the Warrior that he had two documentaries about him, Dark Side and an A&E one, and both were just like, well, he's kind of, I don't know, he's just kind of that guy. Like no one knew what to say. They were just kept calling him like a complicated individual in both of them, and neither one tried to sugarcoat how good or bad he was. They just were talking about how he just had a lot of ups and downs as a
Have you
human
ever
being.
seen the Warrior, the documentary WWE made? They rushed it out because they were following him around the Hall of Fame weekend. Have you ever seen that documentary of him like going up to everybody?
Yeah, when Hogan hugs him and stuff,
That's what the Hogan.
that bullshit.
And he gives Vince McMahon the Thomas the Tank Engine book. I do kind of feel like he was trying to change things. He was trying to turn things around. I don't know if he knew that he was like sick. Maybe when
Yeah,
you think back, is like maybe he did know because he really is like he's really like apologizing to Hulk Hogan. He's apologizing to Vince. He's apologizing to all these people. He's trying, he's meeting all the younger wrestlers who grew up on him, and what you call it. It's a really interesting documentary because whether he knows it or not, it's a guy at the end of his life like trying to like make amends and give his family like one final nice weekend. And
yeah. His Hall of Fame speech is also very, very long. I was there for it. Very long, but very like emotional
Mhm.
about what hurt him, what didn't hurt him, and that was just a weird night because Jake the Snake had like a very emotional speech. Ultimate Warrior had one. Mr. T was very, very long. Carlito
Razor
had the
Ramon
joke of
that
the
one too.
night. Yeah, Razor Ramon. Like it was a emotional Hall of Fame. And they're
Yeah,
like
Paul
now
Bearer.
speeches are 10 minutes long.
Yeah, I'd rather have the longer ones than the shorter ones.
Yeah, you don't have to watch it. Like if you want to watch it. If you don't want to, I mean, that's not what they want. But
Well, Triple H got. I'm sure Stephanie will be able to talk for 17 hours about the
oh
fucking
god,
Raider
yeah,
Daddy
yay,
in a few months. Pratik, we're talking about the weirdness of tonight, of meaning Bad Blood, not this night,
Yeah.
and how they kind of just brush aside Brian Pillman's death. And really quick, to continue my point, I think the other weird thing, and this is so like wrestling fan, this is just sums up wrestling in a nutshell. They find Brian Pillman dead in a hotel room. They brush it off like it didn't happen. And then like Vince McMahon goes to the wife the next night on Raw. What are you gonna do for money? Basically being like, well, you're fucked because I'm not gonna give you any money. Nobody seems to be upset about any of that, but everyone to this day is fucking livid that he forced Bret Hart to lose a fake fight a month later. Which, if you think about in the grand scheme of things, Vince was right to be like, "You work for me. This is my script. Follow the fucking script." And he was 100% wrong. Should be vilified for doing what he did to Melanie Pillman. But that somehow is not a big deal. But Bret Hart fucking losing to Shawn Michaels is like the guy should be in hell for that. Pratik, what do you think about that? How we like prioritize the weirdest shit as wrestling fans.
I mean, that's it. Fans still think that Chris Benoit was framed. You know what I mean? Like the logic with wrestling fans is gone out the door. I wanted to bring up one quick thing with Warrior. And sorry for the background noise. It's I just got off the plane. But Ultimate Warrior came to my school to speak right before he passed away. It was WrestleMania. It might have been 29, but
Okay, that was
a year
before.
ago. But he was on his conservative run. He was doing a bunch of colleges, and he was on this like Republican speak, conservative. He kept talking about how Jesse Jackson doesn't make the world work. I'm like, who's talking about Jesse Jackson in 2009? Like it wasn't even like something relevant. He kept mentioning Jesse Jackson. He kept mentioning the Iron Sheik. Like he was kind of doing like these Republican wrestling promos before Donald Trump. So I feel like it's something that like Trump like was watching these playbooks and like watching how conservatives act nowadays. And I feel like Warriors responsible for all these Charlie Kirk Republican types, because he would do
Mhm.
weird wrestling promos about how liberalism doesn't make the world work, and queering doesn't make the world work, blah blah blah. I'm just like, what do you like? It's not. None of this is. This doesn't even make sense from a Republican standpoint. Like I remember because I remember the Republican club at my university invited him, but then there was a split among the Republicans. So like he doesn't represent what we're talking about. So they started fighting over what Ultimate Warrior was saying. So it's very bizarre.
No, that's so weird. But what do you think about the Pillman stuff that I said?
For the Pillman stuff, it's that thing of his wife. I believe his wife was in a vignette.
The next night.
That's not what you were talking about.
No, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it was poor timing for WWE to not. Why do you have to Why do you have to drag the wife out? Now, should she have been? Here's the question: did she voluntarily do it, or was she kind of forced, or did she feel obligated to do it? I just don't think the segment was in good taste. So I don't think they should have done that. But I'm wondering maybe she felt that that was the only way she would get like a payday, or maybe there was royalties involved. But I don't think the segment was good at all. It was one of those things where it kind of came out of nowhere. Didn't they have to like change the card, if I'm not mistaken? They added like a couple matches
Well,
because
they added the mini match.
the mini match and the disciple, the 8-man tag, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kyle, what do you think about the fact that people just brush off the Brian Pillman stuff, but are still crying about Bret Hart? What's your thoughts on that?
I think we're gonna get more in the Bret Hart in about the next couple weeks. I feel like that's gonna be a big topic of discussion of whether it was right, whether it was wrong, blah, etc. But yes, I think wrestling fans, like Pratik was saying earlier, wrestling fans prioritize the weirdest things. I think they could have held Vince's feet to the fire for that incident, not just Brian Pillman's death, but the Raw the next night. Like we said, we don't know who agreed to what, and there was even more questions about that when you watch Pillman's Dark Side. But yeah, fans very pick and choose. They get very angry about one thing, they get very lax about another. Sometimes all it takes is I'm done with WWE, and then The Rock comes back, and they're like, I need to watch everything that they do. It's just to quote Daniel Bryan, fickle audience.
The funniest thing is that Devon Dudley. This is one of the things that is just not going anywhere. Devon Dudley, the past 2 weeks, has basically said Jim Ross said, "I don't like you because you're black." Like
Yeah,
at an official position. Now, again, I know everyone hates the Hulk Hogan thing, but I'm not trying to defend it. But I think there's a big difference between being in your bedroom and saying something racist and going to work and saying something racist. I think
yeah.
going to work and being racist is like way worse, right? But the Jim Ross thing has not gained traction at all. And I'm wondering if he was still a WWE announcer, if it would, because I mean, I think if that's true, that's really fucking bad. What do you think about the Jim Ross, Devon Dudley shit?
I think if it was WWE, I think they would be more over it. I think they're just the number one game in town, so people are gonna use them more. I think Meltzer would be more on it. Jim Ross thing is weird because he praises certain like black wrestlers, like he loves like a Shelton Benjamin, you know. So for him to say that about a Devon Dudley sounds very, very weird. But also on the other hand, Devon Dudley, Maven, Stevie Richards, they've all just been on like this grift, whether they know what they're talking about or not. They've been on this just social media grift that you're at this point that you're like, are they just saying things to get these clicks? Is it real? Is it not real? And I don't want to say that about especially a black man's experience, but everything that they put out is a clickbait like give me money thing because these videos get hundreds and thousands of views. So this is like their living. Stevie Richards is probably making more off these videos than they are than he ever did in the WWE because I don't think he made that much. So it's a little questionable. But if it is true, um, then I think Jim Ross should be held accountable for it. He should say something about it. But I think he's not going to. Everyone's just like, he's old. He's like, he's JR. They're not gonna think twice about it. But if it was like Triple H saying that about Carmelo Hayes, oh, forget about it.
Yeah, that's true. Or Michael
Or
Cole.
Joe Tessitore or somebody.
Critique your thoughts on Devon Dudley accusing Jim Ross of leader. Like,
I mean, there's a couple concerning things. One, he was head of talent relations. He's interacting with all superstars day to day basis. So I'm like, dude, you're in charge of booking. You should, be more appropriate with your employees. I understand it's the '90s. I understand different time, but still, it's not okay to just say I don't like you for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't because like Jim Ross is in charge of relations and booking. It might have affected now obviously Bubba and Devon they got over. We saw what they did get over. It might have affected a payday. It might have affected a program. It might have affected an angle. So that's where I'm more concerned. When you look at that one Triple H Booker T feud where Booker T should have got over. It makes me question every time a black wrestler didn't get that one up. Was Jim Ross part of that? So it's opening my eyes to a little bit. And obviously, look, we all everybody blames Hulk Hogan and Vince and blah blah blah. But I also think, Jim Ross was also there at that time, so maybe he had a hand in that. Maybe Devon led on to something about Jim Ross. We want to like him as the good guy commentator, but it opened my eyes, and he is still employed with AEW. Tony Khan wants to be, responsible and woke or whatever to be. So maybe there has to be some sort of statement put out. I think there's nothing wrong in Jim Ross putting out some statements saying, something. I do think he needs to say something. He still commentates. He doesn't commentate regularly. I believe he just gets pulled back. I know he's been having health stuff and all. And I think Devon, yes, he's doing a podcast, and yes, it's social media clicks, but there was something genuine about Devon, the way he said it. He also gave respect to Jim Ross' health stuff, and also, I don't want to wish ill on somebody when he's healthy, not healthy either. But yeah, I do think the state of Jim Ross needs to release something about this.
Hold on. Okay, so let's get into the event. The first match, we have the Nation of Domination, which is Rocky, and D'Lo Brown, the True Nation. Finally, we have what I consider peak Nation of Domination taking on the Legion of Doom. Now, originally, it was supposed to be a six-man match. Ken Shamrock was injured, and the announcers kind of hint like, the Legion of Doom have a special surprise partner. Nope, it's a handicap match. So the match starts, and the guy with the biggest heat in this match is Rocky. This match is the first time we see the real Rock on this journey so far. This is the Rock. He is getting the most heat. He is doing Rocky things. There's still some moments where he's not exactly who he's supposed to be, but he is the star of the show. And him working with Kama and D'Lo, people don't give this version of Nation enough credit. Because without this version of the Nation, I don't know if Rocky becomes the Rock. I love it. I love this match. Legion of Doom look like idiots. They lose, of course, looking like morons. But seeing Rocky become the Rock and seeing the Peak Nation, always a great time. What do you think?
No, you're absolutely right. This is where the Rock's starting to click for him, and it won't be long until Rocky Maivia becomes like the Rock and starts saying the phrases and becomes that character. And working with guys like D'Lo Brown, Farouk, who's not in this match, but really just helped make him look bigger. The Legion of Doom, it was disappointing. I was like, oh, I wonder who the partner is gonna be, and then they just like, we're gonna do it themselves, and just there's something about the '97 LOD run that just something did not. I don't know if it was behind the scenes stuff or they just weren't like on top of it. I know they had a lot. I think it's this last time. I know they had a lot of problems with like drugs and alcohol. I don't know if that was it, but they came back and it was just like everything they did. It was just like, you know, it just didn't really click.
It's not that good. This was a fun match.
Maybe he's resentful. Maybe he thought they were old, like because I know they're trying to push into a new era soon. So maybe he thought the LOD was too old, or did they have like NWA stink on them? I don't know what it was, but it is a good match for the Open and a good match for the Rock.
Mm-hmm. And then next up, Vince McMahon announced Brian Pillman's death. I'm very surprised that they don't have Jim Ross really talk about the death. He doesn't acknowledge it on camera, and he was very close to Brian Pillman. He was Brian Pillman's number one supporter when in the NWA and also in WWE. Brian Pillman was a JR boy. JR was like nothing about this, and maybe Vince told him not to say anything. Maybe Jim Ross didn't want to say anything because he was going to start crying on the air, and we're supposed to forget that Brian Pillman existed. So, we have to focus on Kane. But it's a weird moment. And I don't know, is this the moment where Vince goes like, maybe he overdosed, but that happens everywhere. So like,
yes, I think that's the first. Yeah, that's what I meant. He's trying to get.
I ever heard.
He's trying to get himself out of trouble. Like he knows that the finger is gonna get pointed to him in the WWE, and he's trying to make it seem like, hey, this is a Brian Pillman thing. This is not a WWE thing. It's very, very cold. It's very, very cover your ass, which I think why Jim Ross and because they don't say anything about it the whole night because they bring it up at the beginning